I just pulled him out of the sunshine. He's not too happy with this. Are you, Chippy? Yeah, whatever. Alright, come back to the sunshine. Back to the sunshine. So, you know, I got some boxes of dolls since last video. I posted the 2 box opening videos from Susan, what Susan sent, and the video from the box Mikayla sent, and the video from the box Eric sent. So my doll time since then has been mostly spent dressing and assembling dolls from those boxes. Now the dolls I have dressed and not done anything to. They're over waiting to be photographed. Of course, all the dolls that I assembled or touched up paint or things like that, those are what I'm going to show you because I actually have a little bit to explain about them. I haven't photographed them yet either. I just noticed that my camera appears to be a little bit crooked. I hope it's not annoying. It looks straight in the viewfinder. So, not all of it. Like, this is a doll I thrifted. Bark, bark, bark. And yesterday I sat down with paint and she had really thin lips, like she was pursing them in disapproval. So I gave her more relaxed looking lips and I also gave her some eyeliner wings. I am super tempted, although it's... I like the idea of it, but I don't like the idea of actually doing it. I would love to make her a like Star Trek Wrath of Khan era uniform so she would look like Uhura. I probably won't though, but that's just this silly idea I've had for this doll. This is the Gambina New Orleans souvenir doll Liana I thrifted a few weeks ago, before I started getting the boxes of stuff. And another thing that I have spent time doing is going through all the cloth that Susan sent just so I can actually think about it. And I've sorted it out. I actually sent a bunch of it off to Cosmo Moore today, and I have a stack of it to send to Queen of Squids along with other things that I'm still getting together. But I did want to show you, when I was like just throwing this cloth at the camera, I picked up this and said this was a lot like cloth that I had gotten when I first started making doll for doll clothes and not just action figure clothes. And this is actually one of the first dresses I made, so I just thought I would show you that I think that is kind of hilarious that Susan would send this. But I don't know, Susan might have gone through my Flickr albums and seen that I have a few dresses like this. I just wanted to show you that. Alright, little odds and ends of things. Oh, the Beatrix girl that Susan sent was wearing this dress. I had this dress briefly on the clown doll, and then when I picked the Beatrix up, I noticed that her shoulders were stained red from this. So if anyone else has that Beatrix girl dress, doll, or this dress, beware, it's possibly stainy. So, since I don't want to accidentally stain any other dolls, and also since a lot of the fake sequins are missing or folded up weird from the seams, I'm going to actually scavenge this hook and loop tape out of it. And no, I have not forgotten that I want to sew stuff to sell stuff, so I can order the nice big roll of this kind of hook and loop tape. I got a little distracted by all these dolls. A little thing that I did, I have not quite finished it. The box from Eric included that what they call my room, that second version of Generation Girl Mari, which he had put on an articulated gymnast style high heel Barbie body with a really cracked upper neck. And I know in the video I showed the crack to the camera and said, I can fix this. And I could have fixed it just by putting plastic weld on it. Even when I took her head off and it broke it more, I could have reassembled everything. But that, also in the box from Eric, was the Onimusha Kaede head, that female action figure head that I really wanted to put on a fashion doll body. So I thought I could put it on the gymnast body that the Mari head had been on. And one thing, the neck on the gymnast body is just a little bit too wide, and for another thing, putting the DML head, the Kaede head, on a fashion doll neck ended up with like neck on neck, really long and odd looking. So I took another, I told you they were falling off, another one of the bodies that Eric had sent, the older style fashionistas body with the torso articulation and the older style knees, which turned out I didn't even notice until I was dressing the finished doll that she had 2 right feet. Anyway, I took that body and I cut off the top of the neck so it would be short enough, and I curved that out, then put a screw into the struts inside the body so that the head could go on it. But then I had this little bit of neck with the neck connector peg still on it, so I actually fused that with the acetone goop method that John introduced us all to. First I tacked it together with plastic weld, but then I filled in the gaps. And I still need to sand it down, but that gives a probably stronger neck that's not going to start cracking madly next time a head goes onto and off of it. So this, it's always nice to have the high-heeled gymnast style feet because of course there's more shoe options, and this does lend itself to being painted without a lot of joints to scrape. But that is going to go into the body box for now. I have a box here, a surface to put stuff on that I'm not used to because I have a box of dolls to eventually do something with, and then on top of that I have another box that I have all the dinosaurs to paint in, so I actually have a bit of a surface here that I can put stuff on, which is fine because the trunk under the desk is mostly occupied by this bag that I put all the Susan cloth in. Although it was much more full initially. Like I said, I pulled a bunch out, split some pieces apart to send to Cosmo Moore and Queen of Squids eventually. So, other dolls that I put together, like a more simpler one. This was one of the Cacique Benefit Ball Barbie head that Mikayla sent. I put on a Fashionista's body because I do like her face is very, I think she's from 1992. It's very of the time, but it's also a little more stylized than the Playline dolls were, the more sleek, simplified eye makeup. So I like her, and just dressing her ridiculously because that's what I do. This was made by Patty Weller, and she actually sent the shoes too, although for a different doll. So there's Barbie. And I have this stack. Another thing that Mikayla first sent was the Made to Move body with the head glued onto the neck, which I did manage to pry it off. I don't know what glue the person used to glue it onto that neck. I'd like to know what it was, because if ever we need to glue vinyl together, I think that would work perfectly, because I could not break the bond. I ended up basically tearing the head off of the neck, and there's still bits of vinyl on the neck. I think what happened was when the original head was pulled off of the neck, it pulled the neck connector out with it. So the person, they were determined to go ahead and put the Fashionista head on it. So they, instead of, and probably the Fashionista head also tore its neck connector out, so instead of prying the neck connector out of the head, gluing that in, and then putting the head on, they just glued the whole thing in place, neck connector head all at once. And then I tore it apart. And I put this midge head on it, and then I just had, obviously, fun dressing her around this SpongeBob shirt that Eric sent. Her head only has turning. She doesn't have tilt. I might take the head off and see if I can show you what a mess the vinyl is on top of that neck. And turn around. So there is no wiggle to this neck connector. I might see if I can pull it out and rig something up that can move, but for now, this is fine. And this is the head, one of the heads that Free Tray sent me a while ago. I know because it has beautiful braids in it. There were a bunch of heads that, and the dolls that Free Tray sent that had, is it Free Tray or Free Tray? I'm still not sure, sorry. Had really beautiful braids in it. It's funny. I don't realize how badly I braid doll hair until I see beautiful braided doll hair. So there's her ridiculous, brightly colored SpongeBob. And I told you about the Kaede head that I put onto a fashionista's body, and that's her. I might repaint her, or I might paint over her to make her eyes a little more dramatic, or I might leave her as she is, because like I said, action figures are just such a different aesthetic than Barbie, and I'm not sure if I can actually show you. I didn't even notice that the toes were pointing in the same direction to both your right feet. I just noticed that as I was putting something onto this foot, that ankle said R on it. It's like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, she has 2 right feet. And then when I was manhandling the shoe on, I accidentally poked a hole in the end of the sock. But I made these socks out of a pair of tights that I had, and I wore for a while, and then I realized that those stripes are much better suited to doll size. I'm just not sure if I have any of it left, but I can at least re-sew the end, although I see it's running now. But, so, and then this was in the pack, the accessory pack that Eric sent. The thing from that accessory pack that I was really excited about, the black glasses, I put on her. She's also the one who's been sitting in that IKEA doll chair. Which, incidentally, when I was looking up the Gambina dolls, the New Orleans souvenir dolls, they actually had a doll who was a dark-skinned, definitely Steffi Love. I mean, I don't know if on the back it said Steffi Love, like the one I found says Steffi Love, but just the Gambina doll was like, she had pearls and things glued on her to look like Mardi Gras. But that could be the mystery of where this dark-skinned Steffi Love came from. It could be that she was sold as a Gambina souvenir doll. I don't know. I don't know a lot about Steffi Love. I just know a lot of people were surprised to see that doll that I found. And that also would explain how she got to the U.S. a little better, since Steffi Love really isn't sold much in the U.S. Okay. And then the other doll related to the body, which the top of this neck was cut off of. I can't just pull her head off because it's on pretty securely. The screw that I sunk in her neck, she can look side to side. She can't tilt. I might see if I can mess around and give her tilt eventually, but this is fine for now. But the Mari head, the second version of Mari head that was on that, I put on just a regular articulated fashionista's body that this is one that I thrifted recently because it has the pink ring on it. And so I trimmed her hair. Her hair was really long and ragged on the edge, so I trimmed it all off at where most of the red stopped. And it was interesting to dress her because her color scheme is kind of odd. She has the light pink lips and the bright yellow earrings and the black and red hair and almost non-existent eyeshadow. But I think I may do. And it amused me in the end. I mean, the shoes were one of the last things I picked out, and those are the shoes from the original Generation Girl Mari. So, there she is. And this quick little scarf was some of the cloth that Mikayla sent. Mikayla also had sent that Francie, who I touched up her lips and I magic erasered the grime off of her because thrift dolls. And I went ahead and gave her some blush, even though Francie doesn't usually have blush. But this is a really faded Francie anyway, so there she is. I might reset her hair so it has an outward flip, but her hair's fairly decent. So I did not mix up the color of her lips exactly, but it was pretty close, and it's the same color I used for her. And also that Old Navy doll that Susan sent had the tiniest lip scrape on it, which I actually might have done myself when I was magic erasering off the stuff stuck to her face. But I touched that up since their lip color was fairly close. So her lips are also a little pinker than they were originally, but she has all of her lips. And I have a vintage Francie now to go with my reproduction Francie. I also have a sunset, a Malibu Francie with the Casey head sculpt, the big smiling Francie, so I can get a picture of her too. I'm not acquiring Francies or Ellens at the rate that John is, but maybe I'll catch up. And when I ended the video of the box from Eric, I said I would get to work on putting that triad alpha female action figure head onto the Kenya articulated doll body. So that's how she ended up. Now, her head, one of the differences between action figures and fashion dolls is fashion doll heads sit fairly shallowly on the top of the neck, and action figure heads can sit pretty deeply onto the neck. So when I drilled out the inside of this head to make it big enough to go over a fashion doll neck peg, also action figure neck pegs, and Momoko and I think Jenny and Lika too are much, much smaller than Western fashion doll neck pegs. So when I made that big enough to go down over that and actually get it onto this neck, it's like her chin was about here. And so I had to figure out what to do to rig up, because when you're just sitting the head on top of the neck peg, it looked fine. So eventually what I did was got out the drill some holes, sunk a screw into, it's a very short screw, it's just into the neck connector itself. And then I wrapped a bunch of, well actually it's just one clear elastic around under the neck connectors so that it wouldn't flop around anymore. And also, I don't know what this clear plastic thing is. It's kind of soft and rubbery. It's one of those things I found at some point and thought, hey, that looks like it would be good for bulking up neck connectors if needed. So I just threw it into my, this stuff looks like it would be good for bulking up neck connectors if needed box. And I put a little bit of another elastic, clear elastic on that to make it just a little bulkier than it was normally. Again, she lacks tilt, but she can, you can coax a little bit of tilt out, but she can definitely turn her head from side to side. I also painted over her irises so they would be darker because they were really pale and just made her look odd. And I put some pearl medium over her lips, and I filled in her eyebrows so they're a little thicker and a little less angry looking. And I gave her some blush. So that's that one. And then another doll that Eric sent was that Princess of Japan Barbie, who has the, what we call it, the collector size Mikayla head, and much smaller than Playline, and definitely smaller than the Modern Fashionistas or Made to Move doll with the Mikayla sculpt. So she had a fairly small head and fairly pale, and it's not the kind of body skin tone of Barbie that I have around. But I had a Momoko that Emmy Moon sent me, a Momoko body, that obviously when the head had been taken out, the neck connector came with it, and I don't know if it was lost or if it was used to something else, so it was a body with no neck connector, which I had sunk a screw into it a while ago to use to put a little pull-up pad on. But I wasn't really happy with the combination because I couldn't get a really secure connection. And also I managed to crack the angle, which I fused back together with acetone goop. But I realized that this Momoko body would be the perfect match for that Princess of Japan head. And again, really all that's, well, what I did with her to get the neck connection is I took the screw out and the stuff, the random stuff that I had on it to make the pull-up head kind of fit, the little pull-up head. And, well, when I took this head off of the original body, the neck connector came out and the neck cracked. So, also, the neck connector got pretty, I should have boiled the head first with the head in boiling water to make it nice and soft, but I didn't want to ruin the curl that was in her hair. And whenever I've tried the My Froggy Stuff method of putting the head in a plastic bag, I can't get it snugged down quite right so it can make the neck soft without ruining the hair. So when I took the head off, I tried to be careful, but older doll, neck cracked. So I took that neck connector peg assembly thing and I cut off the loop that goes around the pin inside the neck, and I cut off the prong in the top that's supposed to keep the head from coming off. And I drilled into that, which I didn't use the channel locks at first. I was just trying to use a pair of pliers to hold it. And, you know, drilling into a round thing where you're holding the edge of the round thing and makes a lot of spinning. So eventually I got it all worked out where I got the hole through that and the screw through that and put that through. So again, she doesn't have really, she has some tilting, but she has a decent range of motion. Because I didn't screw the screw all the way down with the neck peg. I left it a little loose and wiggly. So there she is. There's the repaired ankle. It doesn't move anymore, but I tried to put it at a decent angle where she could wear flats. And this is the dress I made for this doll when I first had the little pull-up head on it with the pink wig, which is the pink wig that the Madison that Tiffy painted is now wearing. So I think this head works really well on this body. The skin tone is good and the proportions are good because she has the smaller Barbie head. And I also painted over her eyes. They were also pale brown, and I painted most of them dark brown. And I left some of the pale as sort of a highlight. So I'm trying to rush. I'm trying to get through all these without making another half-hour long video like all the box openings were. And see, who else did I make? This is a head that was sent by Pandorkful a while ago, and this is the Beatrix girl body, and this is some of the Bratz clothes that Eric sent, which Eric's comment was he thinks that the Bratz clothes multiplied in transit. It's like, I think they multiplied as I was taking them out of the bag, because like I said in the video, they didn't seem to want to fit back in that bag. So this head was on a little blow molded body craft doll, and she did have her bangs rooted down her forehead. I pulled them out and stuck the forehead in boiling water a little bit to try to contract the holes left by the rooting. I don't know what was the worst look, having these holes in the forehead or having hair like coming out of here. I also used the boiling water as a chance to get her hair to lay a little flatter, because she's just rooted right in the middle, but it's great hair. So the way this head had gone on the original body itself was doing all the work holding the head on. There was like the neck with a groove in it and then a flange on top, and the head went over the flange and sat in the groove, and I could not recreate that. I tried. I don't know how long I spent trying to get this head onto this body, but I was determined. And what I eventually ended up doing, I mean, John and Kate might be looking at this and saying, she looks a little different from the ones they have. What I actually have done is I took a square of quilt batting, stuffed her head with it, so her head is actually has a really weird feeling now because it's so full of polyester batting. And then I took a bread tag and put that on the neck knob of the Beatrix girl's body and put the head full of batting on that. So the batting is trying to push down and the bread tag is keeping it all in place. So that's what I got to hold the head on. I also, like I said with Beatrix girls, my thing about them is that the arms are so long. I cut a good 1/4 inch, maybe more, off of these arms. I have not, so far all I've done with them is just hack them with the X-Acto. I have not gone through and tried to clean them up with the Dremel in any way. But it's a lot better, I think. I think this works well. And I will put her in some clothes eventually, but I just wanted to show off. The Beatrix girl shape is just very extreme. It's a great little body. This is the body that people think Barbie has. And Barbie hasn't had a body like this for ever. And what did I do with the Beatrix girl head? Well, one of the things that Eric sent was a Moxie Teens body with a Barbie Articulated Fashionista Nikki head on it, which was starting to melt the neck of the Moxie Teens body. So that head had to go. I mean, hello Floof. Part of the joke with the modern Barbies is that their heads are so big, why not put it on a 14-inch doll body? But I went ahead and put the Moxie Teen, the Beatrix girl's head. So remember, this head was originally on this body. Which, I mean, that is a fun look, but I like this head with this body. And I really like this head on this body too. And she retains, I had to use the Dremel a bit to open up her neck opening. Again, this was the size of neck it was originally. But I was able to open it enough without losing a lot. Sometimes if you make the hole too big, you lose the goings-on inside the head that actually hold the head onto the neck. But this one worked out pretty well. And she's actually wearing this little Barbie bikini that Eric had sent that works really well on this body. And one of the lace shirts I made recently. And the pants that I think it was Free Tray sent with an anime head on it originally on it was what, Sakura Wars, which was a like 13-inch body, I think. So there was enough stretch in these pants, even though they're stirrup pants, so they're like hooked over her foot too. Enough to get them on this body, but that reminded me that I had that Sakura Wars body, and that's the head that Sour Grapes went on to. Because Sour Grapes' original body is funny, it's fun, it's small and stooped, and it's not like other fashion dolls. But I wanted to give her, of course, more articulation, and I just like the idea of her being on this much larger than Barbie body. Let's see, where's an actual Barbie? You see how much bigger than Barbie she is. So I have tried this head on other bodies before. It goes well on an Ever After High body. It goes well on a regular Barbie body. So I just thought I would go ahead and try her out. See how she looked on this body, and I really like her on this body. And the head, I didn't Dremel it any bigger. There's not a lot of room to work, so it's just kind of sitting on the neck. From the back, it's a little odd looking, especially since this body has a soft covering over the neck. But from the front, her chin, it's the Monster High design aesthetic. The chin hides the weird neck goings on. And that's the second time this video I've said goings on. I'm almost finished. Like I said, I'm trying to strike a balance between hurrying and actually being clear, and I don't know if I'm meeting any of those. And another ridiculous doll combination was with the Winx body that Eric sent, and that little Barbie mermaid I thrifted a few weeks ago. I said I wanted to use the head on something. I didn't think I would use the head on this body, but I think it's hilarious to put a little tiny head on a long lanky body. Because usually like I said, the Winx head is big. And I'm not sure if I will keep this combination together, but I at least want to get pictures of her. And like I said, other dolls from the things sent, they're laying back there on my working ironing board, which is covered with cardboard, and it's still covered with the cloth that I was recording the videos on. They're all dressed up, they're ready for photos, all these dolls are ready for photos, and then I was horrible today and went to a thrift store. I dropped off recycling. Recycling is in the same parking lot as the thrift store. But I said to myself, only buy really good finds. If there's something that's okay, don't get it. Of course, I knew I would not find a 1960 Barbie again. It's the same store. But I did find this, which you see has a Made in Japan label, so it is genuinely vintage. What, Floof? It is not Dakin, it is not Kmart. I've tried quickly to look it up to see if I can figure out who the manufacturer is, but of all the vintage Made in Japan 1960s giraffes I found online, and there are quite a few, I did not find any that look like this. So if you know anything about vintage things like this, of course, I thought it was Dream Pets to begin with, Dakin, but it's not. There's a few spots. There's this big spot on the ear. Let's see if I can get it clean out. And I spent the whole time in the store working the sawdust in its neck back up to try to, it had a super floppy head, which I've worked with. Hold on. You get 2 cats in this video. Are you going to run away too? You're pointy. I'm going to put you directly down. So this was on the toy table. When you put stuff on the toy table in the bag, it's everything you can fit into a bag for $3. When you buy things individually, they're 49 cents. So this was 49 cents. As was Mercedes. This is from the 3-pack. Her hair has been cut, but that's fine with me. Although, I mean, I do like the big curl she had originally, but this is actually a decent haircut. I am not familiar enough with Monster High to have even realized that this, and yes, this is a Barbie dress. I put that on her. This was also in the bin. But her shoes were already on her. And like I said, this is a 3-pack, so she does not have sparkly, iridescent skin. And her, feels like there is a lump of glue inside, but I don't know if Mercedes was during the era of this leaky glue or if she was during just the hard, clumpy white glue. But I've kind of wanted Mercedes just because I have the cats and I like the little body, and I found her for 49 cents. And that's it. I do have other doll projects, like I took Philip's head off and put a Bitsu guy head that I got from Pandora Full on that body, but I think I want to paint it all green. And like I said, I think I mentioned in comments that I painted this body a while ago, and the head to go with it I've been putting off doing anything with because it needs to be rerouted, and I absolutely have not been in the mood to reroute this head. But when I did her, like after a few days, it wasn't even immediate, after a few days of this faux fur sitting around, I realized, wait a minute, I can give that to her. So that's a project I want to do soon. I still, like I said, once it gets nice and I can open up the window and it's not so cold down where the airbrush is, which right now I don't know when it's going to happen. Yesterday it was 80, today it's in the 50s with some big storms in between. But I have all the dinosaurs I want to paint. I have more doll bodies I want to paint. I have no lack of projects, especially with everything that's been sent, plus all this cloth to sew and doll clothes and things, and so many ideas that I just need to get over going, so many ideas, and do stuff. Okay, I think I'm kind of wound up now, so I'll go and chase the cat.